Hey there, welcome to Duke's Apocalypse Kitchen. This is episode 47, and I'm going to make some banana bread because I have some nice, beautifully ripe bananas ready
Thanks
to go.
to one of our neighbors who I've suddenly just blanked on her name, but she lives down the street and she gave us a whole bunch of wonderful bananas.
Yeah, and these are getting ready to go. These are actually a little underripe for what I like them for banana bread, but they will get us going for today. We're going to take 3 of them, and they just fall off. See, great.
Can you freeze the rest of them?
Yes, and it's a really good idea to freeze them because they really soften up in the freezer and they make a nice puree for banana pudding or banana ice cream. It's a good one to make. You can also use them in smoothies at that point and pina colada, things like that. So we are taking the mushy banana and putting it in a bowl with a stick of melted butter, which I have right here.
And did you just melt that butter in the microwave?
Yep. Oh, and it split itself in half. Nice. Here you go. And you go. And then place for that.
Banana bread's one of my favorite comfort foods, and with all the rain today in Michigan, this is just gonna not only make the house smell wonderful, but it's just gonna, it'll be perfect.
It'll hide that wet dog smell so nicely. Boy, I can't wait.
I was going more for a nice cup of tea with a little banana bread in the afternoon. I don't think that's tea.
No.
What are we drinking?
It's aquavit, and it tastes like really nice gin. It's very, very floral. And make a gin and tonic out of it. It tastes like it's still raining outside. Fine. So this we're going to mash up with a fork in a minute. I'm going to let that sit aside. I have my little loaf pan, and I always line everything with parchment because no matter what I do to this, if I fall asleep on the couch and forget about it and turn it into some homegrown charcoal, it still will come out of the pan, and I won't have to wreck the pan.
Oh,
so
okay.
I always line everything with parchment. I don't have any cooking spray right now. I have to get to the store. I have butter on a paper towel, and I'm just going to give that a nice rub down. All the sides and the bottom, and don't forget the corners because it'll rip out a corner of your bread, and nobody likes that.
I like the crunchy edges of the bread.
Me too. And then stick your parchment in, it sticks to the butter, and voila, you have a little handle to get your bread out. There was a place that specialized in baked potatoes down at Wayne State's campus, and they used to make a sweet potato bread. And they would always give me an end piece because I loved all the crunchies. We'd have them like twice a week. It was great. Okay, I'm also too lazy today to get the mixer out, so I'm going to do this all by hand, and I'm going to show you how you can make a cake by hand, and you don't really need a mixer. We're going to mix our dry ingredients, which is our flour and our baking powder, baking soda in this case, together, and then we're going to put all the wet ingredients together and then combine them after. If we try to do it all at once or do it in the wrong order, we're going to have a big lumpy mess, and nobody likes that. Sugar is not going in with the flour because sugar is actually a liquid. It is not a dry ingredient.
What?
Yep. I know.
Wait a
Little
minute.
tip for you.
So you always put the sugar in, because I have to say I've never done that before.
Butter,
I always
sugar,
do
and
it.
eggs always go together.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. 2 cups of flour and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. We want to give this a minute with a fork and mix it together really well to get our baking soda thoroughly distributed in the flour, because that's our leavening agent. And we will have some bread that is nice and light and fluffy, and the other will be super dense and fudgy because the baking soda wasn't evenly distributed in the flour before you got started.
So you make sure to do that first.
Yes, sometimes that's one of the reasons why you can have an uneven cake.
Okay.
So we do that to it, and we are off to a much better start. 2 eggs. We're going to crack them in their own little bowl first so that we can catch any shells or bad eggs before we throw them into the mix. 2 good-looking eggs. I'll have to toss those there. More or less.
One day I'm going to have the outtakes of how many times you've missed the sink or caught the sink.
How many times I spontaneously clean a window? Those are good times. Good times.
It's the magic of video.
It's magic of something. All right, I'm gonna put my eggs into here. This is gonna be my main bowl. This is gonna go on last. In goes my sugar.
Sugar's a wet ingredient. Okay.
Yep. Bananas and melted butter. This little guy.
Yeah,
all
don't
the
waste
butter
the
there.
butter. Julia Child would hate it.
Everyone goes to the party. Okay, now I'm gonna take my fork and mash this about for a little bit. We're gonna do this on time-lapse thing.
All right, we'll be back.
See you in a minute. And we are back. I just mashed up my banana, sugar, and melted butter. And I have the dry ingredients ready to go. I'm also gonna flavor the banana bread today with crystallized ginger. Had it in the pantry, gave a piece a little nibble, and I was like, yeah, banana bread, crystallized ginger. It
That
works.
sounds amazing.
Golden raisins work really well. Dates work really nicely. Chocolate chips are kind of amazing. But I wanted to try something new, and I have these, so that's where I'm going with that. And the recipe calls for a half a teaspoon of vanilla. I have some vanilla in here, and if I remember to put it in, I'll put it in.
What happens if you don't put the vanilla in?
Nothing. Vanilla is a gratuitous ingredient in a lot of baked goods that, yeah, I mean, I think that I've become so conditioned to it that I don't notice it when it's there. And I want to notice it. I mean, don't we work hard on these things?
Do you notice it when it's not there?
Probably not. I don't know. I just think like there's so many things that call for vanilla. When you make a chocolate recipe and there's vanilla in it, and you make it a butterscotch and there's vanilla in it, and you're like, why does vanilla get to go to the party all the time? I mean, there's a lot of times you work with dark chocolate, you put vanilla in it, you're not tasting it. You know, it's just coasting. No coasting.
I love the idea of the ginger.
I like it too. Okay, we're gonna save the ginger until we've incorporated the flour and the wet mixture together so that we can evenly distribute it and it doesn't just clump up in the batter. So now, move these things aside. Take my spoon. I'm not gonna dump this in all at once. We will have lots and lots of lumps and that will be sad. So I'm just gonna dust the top, like that much. I'm just gonna start folding this in and turning the bowl.
And you'll do that for the whole...
For the whole 2 cups right there.
Okay.
It does call for a heavy pinch of salt, which helps the flavors bloom, so we will taste them all a little bit more. So that's important.
Okay. Should we fast forward through this?
Sure. See you in a
We'll be
minute.
back.
Okay. Batter's all incorporated. Got my crystallized ginger. I'm gonna sprinkle half of it over the top. Fold it in with the spatula. And it was like a 1/4 cup of crystallized ginger. The rest of my crystallized ginger. All right, now we are ready to put it in our pan. Flip it in the oven.
Are you preheating your oven?
Yep, 350. It'll bake for 45 to 55 minutes. Basically when a toothpick comes out clean out of the middle of the cake.
Oh, this is gonna be so good for a hot cup of tea on a rainy day.
Yes. All right, looks like that. Pop it in the oven. See you in almost an hour.
All right.
Okay, got the banana bread out of the oven. I set it for 45 minutes, and when I first peeked at it, I could still tell that I had a little bit of raw batter peeking out of the crack in the middle of the bread. So I put it in for the other 10 minutes. Went for 55 minutes total at 350. It is now bread all the way done all the way through. And this is why I love parchment paper.
All right.
Look at that.
And I'm just gonna say from my perspective, this kitchen smells amazing.
Yeah. peel it off the bottom. Now, this is still warm, and I'm gonna cut it anyway, which is a huge no-no in baked goods. Typically, you wanna wait for this, any bread you make, to be room temperature before you cut into it, because that steam escaping might be pretty and smell amazing, but that's all your moisture running away from this bread that you spent all afternoon making. So we want to keep that in. Best way to do that is to let it get to room temperature. But show's a show. Bread's got to be bread. I got to eat it, so we're doing it. So I'm just going to take a little. I'm going to take a piece off the corner. I'm going to be a real jerk about it because I like the crunchy bits.
Nobody's gonna say nothing to you.
Oh, that's supposed to...
And so the ginger is in it too.
Yeah, there's a chunk of ginger right there. And right there, see?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
Oh, that looks really good.
Look at that.
I think the ginger was
It doesn't even need butter.
brilliant. Yeah, the
I'm gonna
ginger
put
is
butter on it, but
brilliant.
it doesn't even need butter.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Thanks for watching episode 47 of Duke's Apocalypse Kitchen. See you tomorrow.